Guru Mula's cold, gray, piercing eyes flashed in the firelight from inside his hut, staring, glaring at Satoo, who stood with the fire gleaming and reflecting off of his thin chest, as Guru Mula cried out, "You will worship Allah! You will not worship God anymore! You will come to the naming feast, you will get a new name! You will receive the honor of the people! That is our desire for you!" And everyone waited to see what Satoo would say. Tama, most of all, was just riveted, watching to see how could Satoo resist this? How could he reply to this? It turned out to be pretty easy. Satoo's reply was, "If you'll excuse me, I need to go. They're going to be singing soon at the teacher's house, and I'm never late." Guru Mula was furious. "You cannot do this. You will regret this. You are leading the villagers astray. You cannot defy Allah." And Satoo, calmly, with his head held high, replied, "If worshiping God according to his holy book is defying Allah, then I guess I can defy Allah." Then he turned and he left. Walked down the ladder. It was like a bomb had gone off inside of that hut. Guru Mula was absolutely furious. Chief Meriden was doubled over like his stomach hurt. Tama, face totally blank, thinking to himself how Satoo could have created such a response in this hut when he had said it so calmly, with even a smile on his face. And he hadn't stomped out, he just walked out. Tama could see through the opening of the hut as Satoo made his way toward the beach, and then his shadows disappeared into the dark. After a moment, Guru Mula got up, stirred the fire, hand kind of trembling and shaking. He was obviously enraged, and Tama thought to himself, what a contrast this was. It was like when Satoo had left the hut, like all the happiness had gone out of it, and all that was left behind now was just anger and evil planning. He wished he could have that kind of confidence. In his mind flashed other images from these past few months. Pink Bird, smiling and holding her hands up to him. The teacher, calling him friend. If only that teacher knew what he had done. But now he felt stuck. He wished the Islam teachers had never come. Tama felt like a man who falls into his own fishing net and gets all tangled up. He captured himself. And then Guru Mula finally spoke, turning away from the fire. "Obviously, Chief Meriden, your son could never be chief after you. Already he leads the villagers astray. He is worse for you alive than he would be dead. So I have a plan. Here's what we will do. Chief Meriden, you will ask your son to go fishing with you tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, you will take him out fishing, and then you will go to the Fire Mountain beach, and you will set him on the beach, and leave him, and you will tell him, I will not come back for you unless you change your mind and worship Allah." Chief Meriden's eyes were big. "No, I can't do that." "Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You'll scare him. He will realize the danger, and then he will give in." "No," said Chief Meriden, "that's it. He will not give in. I know he will not." Guru Mula said, "Well, then that's fine if he doesn't give in. After all, isn't it an old custom in your people, among your people, that when the fire mountain is very angry and when the fire spirits are unhappy, that you take someone from your village and you put them on the beach and leave them there to die? Isn't that how you have always handled this problem in the past? When the fire mountain is angry? Well, we told you, we won't change your customs. We don't believe in the fire spirits. We only believe in Allah, but we wouldn't change your customs, so you'll still do the same customs as before." Oh, Tama felt so angry and angry at himself. Why had he ever invited them here? Why had he ever thought it was a good thing that they would come and not change the old ways, that they would only teach people about Allah and not change anything else? Why had he fallen for that? Chief Meriden said, "I won't do it." Guru Mula said, "Fine, I will find someone else who will help then, Chief Meriden, if you are not brave enough to do what is necessary for the village. Tama, you and I, the boy trusts you. We will. And Tama stood up. No, I can't. I don't believe in this plan. You are under the control of the teacher's magic. You are of no use to me either. Tama stood up, stomped out of the hut, stomped on the ladder, stomped up the beach up to the village. Angry the whole time at everyone. Angry at Guru Mula, angry at Chief Meriden, angry at Satoo, angry at the teacher. But really, when he would think about it for just a moment, he was really angry at himself. He went up the ladder to his hut, wondering. So that's their plan. I could warn Satoo. No. No, that boy deserves what he gets. I could warn the teacher. No, this is his fault as well. And Tama lay down to try to sleep. In the meantime, Satoo had arrived up to the teacher's house just in time for the singing, and he was so glad he did, because for the first time, the teacher was trying to teach that one beautiful song, the first song that he had ever sung. He was trying to teach it in words of the people's language. He was trying to translate it, and he had sung it for them in his language first. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. And then he explained to them that this had been written over 300 years before by a man named Martin Luther in some other part of the world far away. And then he tried to explain to them the words so they could sing it. But some of the words, well, they just didn't know what a fortress was. They'd never seen a building made of stone. And a bulwark? That made no sense to them. And so what they ended up translating it to, and how they learned it that night, was like this. A mighty mountain is our God, a wall that never crumbles. And Satoo loved it. It was perfect. He loved this song. And after the meeting was over, he and Hans talked, and Hans asked him, so how did the council meeting go? Did they figure out something for the fire mountain? And Satoo said, no, that wasn't the meeting's purpose at all. They were just trying to convince me to worship Allah instead. What did you say? Said Hans. I told them I was not interested. The teacher came up and overheard this, and he said, I am certainly very glad that you said that, Satoo. I'm glad you believe in God. But be aware, this is not the last trial you will face. They will certainly have other plots and plans for you. But do not forget, God hears your prayers. God hears your songs. The Father himself loves you, Satoo. He will save you for his kingdom. All you need to do in the meantime, Satoo, is be kind. Be kind to them, no matter how they act to you. Be kind to them. Show them the God of love. Show them that he is different than the way that they try to spread their mission, their worship through fear and through anger. Satoo then left and headed to his hut. He got to his hut after Tama had already gotten home. And as Satoo came up to his hut, he did see a small flicker of light coming from Tama's hut. He thought about stopping in there, perhaps to talk to him, to tell Tama he wasn't angry at him, even though Tama had obviously caused a lot of these problems. But he decided to leave him alone. Satoo went in, he lay down on his mat. He fell asleep very quickly, very easily. His heart was at peace. But in the night, he did awaken to hear a noise, like someone crying, like someone sobbing or just breathing heavily. And it sounded like it was coming from Tama's hut. Like perhaps Tama was not sleeping as well as Satoo had. Which was true. Tama did not sleep well. In fact, he didn't sleep at all for the first part of the night. He tossed and he turned and he gritted his teeth and he hit the ground in frustration. And it was really not until just as the early morning light was starting to break and the first rays of light were about to shine down onto Fire Mountain from over the top of Great Sangir Island that Tama finally did fall asleep. And when he slept, he dreamt. And this is what he dreamt. In his dream, Tama was standing on a beach, a very small beach with white sand. And birds were flying away from him. He was looking out to sea, watching the birds, and he heard a noise from behind. He turned around, and this was the Fire Mountain beach. And there was the Fire Mountain raised up above him, towering above, and he could see sparks and flames shooting up into the sky. He could see rocks half melted shooting over his head out into the ocean. He could smell the smoke. It was a smoke that burned in your nostrils. It made your eyes water. He could feel the ground shaking and quaking underneath him. He could hear a rumble, a deep rumble, a rumble you only feel in your bones. You don't even hear it with your ear, just shaking through the bones of your body. And he could see the ocean jittering from the rumble. And as he stood there, to one side of him, the ground cracked and started to split. And he was terrified. And then he looked back out to the ocean. Maybe something could happen there that would save him. There was nothing here that he could rely upon. And he looked, and there was a boat. It was a small boat. And it was coming towards him, and there was only one person in that boat. And it was Pink Bird. It was little Marta. And she was looking at him in his dream, standing in the prow of the boat with her arms out towards him, happy, as she had always been every time that she had seen him. And in the dream, the boat bumped up onto the shore. He jumped into the boat. And as he landed inside the boat, his heart was filled with happiness he'd never allowed it to feel before. And the light just became bright all around him like the noonday sun. And the boat somehow turned and headed out. And as it went out, he looked down at Martha. She looked up at him smiling, and he awoke. And he awoke crying tears of joy. He awoke so happy. His heart was so light. He couldn't believe it. He got out of bed, and he wanted to do something. He looked around. He wished he still had flowers. There was the bouquet that Marta had given him when he had found her by the spring just a couple months before. They had lain there now and dried on his shelf. He had ignored them, and there they were. How could he have ignored these flowers? He looked at them, and his heart was so happy. He prepared himself for the day. It was already, the sun was up quite a bit. He had slept in. He prepared himself for the day. He dressed. He then realized he hadn't bathed, so he went down and got undressed at the spring and got bathed, and then got dressed again and got back to the house and realized, oh, he'd forgotten to get water. He was just so happy and discombobulated. He went back with the kettle and got some water and came back up, and he made his breakfast, and then he ate his breakfast, and he thought, what do I need to do now? I know. I need to find Marta. That's what the dream was about. That's why the Great Spirit above sent me that dream. I need to find Marta. She will tell me something important. She will tell me something I need to know. And he came out and went down to the beach. And there, along the beach, there was the little yellow head. And there was the red head of her brother next to her. And he ran up the beach toward them. Hello, hello. And they looked at him. And he was amazed in one part of himself. They didn't turn and run when they saw him coming. Marta turned to him, put her arms up again. And he came and he crouched next to her. And she babbled at him. And he looked at her. And he looked at Hans. And then he thought, where is Satoo? And Hans said, oh, he's coming back. Where did he go? Oh, he went with Gola. They went to go fishing. Fishing? Now, this morning? Yes, Gola said, Gola asked him to go fishing. He said they would go tonight, but then Guru Mula came and said, let's go this morning. Guru Mula also? Said Tama. Yes. So they asked Satoo to take them out and help to unravel the nets when they would go fishing. Where did they go? Said Tama. And Satoo pointed.
Hans pointed, not Satoo. Hans pointed.